जय जय राम, जय जय
राम राम बोलो, जय जय सिया राम बोलो, राम राम बोलो, जय जय सिया राम बोलो,
राम राम बोलो, जय जय सिया
राम राम बोलो, जय जय सिया राम बोलो,
राम राम बोलो, जय जय सिया राम बोलो,
राम राम बोलो, जय जय सिया राम बोलो।
भंजन दशरथ नंदन दीन वत्सला राम, महित महेश्वर चापदलन कर जानकी जीवन राम।
दानव भंजन दशरथ नंदन दीन वत्सला राम, महित महेश्वर चापदलन कर जानकी जीवन राम।
दानव भंजन दशरथ नंदन दीन वत्सला राम, महित महेश्वर चापदलन कर जानकी जीवन राम।
दानव भंजन दशरथ नंदन दीन वत्सला राम, महित महेश्वर चापदलन कर जानकी जीवन राम।
राम जय जय राम, जय जय राम, जय जय राम।
Good morning, and welcome to our seminar this morning. So once again, we open into the awareness of awareness. And as we enter in, we can sense that space and spaciousness in our bodies. That open space. As we settle in, to that space of the awareness of awareness. So extending from the base of the spine, we feel that space there. We extend it up. We extend it down through the whole body. So from the base of the spine to the top of the head, from the top of the head into the lower body. And we extend into the field around us. So above the body, below the body, to the right, to the left, to the person on the right, to the person on the left, and across the room. We extend into that space. And sensing the energy of the space, we pull it into the top of the head again, down through the forehead, through the face, through the throat, down into the heart, down into the belly, into the lower body. We also extend to the people on the Zoom this morning as they extend here. So settling into the space of awareness. Becoming one with this space. Becoming one with the energy of the space. We extend that energy from the back of the head into the forehead. The back of the head into the eyes. The back of the head into the mouth. The back of the head into the throat. The back of the head into the heart. The back of the head into the belly. And the back of the head into the lower body. So filling up with the energy of the field. And then opening in the heart. As we open, just a bit more. Resting a bit more. Opening into the light, to the light of the field. We extend also to the people coming into the room right now. as they extend to us in the light. We extend also to the generational field, the field of the ancestors, the family, the friends, and the great yogis we've known in our life. So many. And if you like, you can pick a favorite this morning to extend to these great teachers. This past week was again the lunar anniversary of Muktananda's Mahasamadhi. We extend also to all our traditions of which we participate. And to the great archetypes of all the different traditions. And again, if you have a favorite, extend to that favorite. So as we settle in, as we hold the light, as we keep the company of great beings, as we keep the company of the great archetypes, we fill up. We become a little nicer, a little bit more compassionate to each other and to our own selves. So what we focus on, we become. So again, compassion is that ability and that capacity to hold the awareness for one's own self and for the others. In Dante's great literary work, The Divine Comedy, and we see the double nature of reality in which there is one single truth. Without divinity, there can be no conscious humanity. And without humanity, the divine remains an abstraction. So Dante finds himself caught in the first dilemma in the beginning of the poem. When I had journeyed half our life's way, I found myself within a shadowed forest, for I lost the path that does not stray. So halfway through Dante's life, our life, he finds himself in a dark wood. He understands he's lost his recognition of his true self, his true life, his true experience. He's been exiled from his beloved Florence because of political difficulties. He can never return or he will be executed. He leaves his wife and his 4 children behind. So in his reflection, Dante discovers he has not lived a true life since he was a young man. And as a young man, he'd been a poet and been in love with Beatrice. But then Beatrice had died suddenly. He's reminded of his first meeting with Beatrice. The moment I saw her, I say in all truth that the vital spirit which dwells in the innermost depths of my heart began to tremble so violently that I felt the vibration alarmingly through all my pulses, even the weakest of them. And as it trembled, it uttered these words: Behold a God more powerful than I, who comes to rule over me. That God was the God of love, the energy of love. And then suddenly Beatrice dies. And after Beatrice dies, Dante had been in complete despair. For several years he writes of her, and then gradually begins to resume a new life. He studies philosophy, theology, becomes engaged in politics. He marries a woman of noble stock, a politically correct marriage, a marriage arranged by his family. He has 4 children and becomes engulfed with society and politics. Unfortunately, he's politically on the wrong side of the Pope, and so he finds himself exiled from Florence and never able to see his wife and children again. And so we find him in the beginning of the comedy. Dante has lost his way. He finds himself in a dark wood. He's forgotten his poetry, his awareness of the field of being, his destiny. As the Divine Comedy progresses, Dante tries to move along the path of being. He is then confronted by encounters with different animals. The leopard, representing love of pleasure, the lion representing fierce pride, and the wolf representing his greed and avarice. And as he encounters the animals, he finds himself powerless to move forward. He sees a distant figure and cries out, "Have pity on me." He admits his powerlessness and his inability to find his path. The distant figure emerges as Virgil, the Latin poet, who will guide Dante through the depths of consciousness to seek complete recognition of the self. It is Virgil who, like the teacher, the guru, shows us the way through the darkness into the light of self-knowledge, the light of awareness. Virgil has been sent by Beatrice to serve as a guide to Dante in Dante's search for consciousness. Virgil emerges to guide him through the depths of hell, purgatory, and paradise, towards oneness with the divine. So we'll make a little turn here right now, and we'll talk about Abhinavagupta, the 10th century yogic master, who says that all phenomena must be dissolved into the fire of the heart. He refers to this dissolution as a violent digestion. All things must be burned in this fire in the heart and experienced as light. And this isn't always easy as we hear Dante's journey through the different realms of the poem. In the Inferno, Dante and Virgil come across Ugolino, a layman, and Ruggiero, the archbishop, frozen in a single hole. Ugolino is gnawing at the base of his old enemy's head. They'd been political enemies on earth, and now were locked eternally together. Ugolino tells Dante that Ruggiero caused his death. Ugolino and his 4 children had been imprisoned by the archbishop and left to starve to death. Ugolino, consumed with hunger and hatred for his enemy, offered no comfort to his children. His children in turn reached out to him, but he did not respond, as he was so consumed with his own hunger and hatred. Ugolino was an educated man and actually knew how to pursue union with the light at the time of his death, but chose to suffer his hatred for his enemy. What we focus on, we become. As Abhinavagupta says, all phenomena must be dissolved into the light. In Purgatory, Dante is confronted with the pairs of opposites. Dante meets an old friend, a musician, who sings for him with much love and affection. And then, the old friend is then rebuked for wasting time by Cato, the manager of Purgatory. He should be purifying himself on the mountain. So we understand this experience to be the critical superego rendering its verdict and overlooking the actual experience of the healing power of love and affection. Dante did call this great poem the Commedia. Only later it was called the Divine Comedy. As Dante and Virgil continue their walk through Purgatory, they become aware of a third person with him. It is Statius, the ancient poet. Statius has completed the process of purification and is presented in the comedy as a secret convert to Christianity, so he will be able to ascend to paradise. Only Christians are allowed, by the way. The real encounter between the three is, however, about poetry. Statius, not realizing who he's talking to, speaks about his profound indebtedness to the Aeneid. He said he would put up with even another year of penance just to meet Virgil. He goes on to say his whole achievement as a poet is due to Virgil. After Virgil reveals himself to Statius, Statius is astounded. Virgil then asks Statius why he has become a Christian. Statius reveals it is Virgil's prophetic inspiration that caused him to lean toward Christianity. And now Virgil is surprised. Statius goes on to quote Virgil. The verse is, "The age is renewed, justice returns, and for the first human time, a new offspring descends from heaven." And Statius heard these words far beyond the situation in which they were written. Virgil stated he actually wrote the words in relationship to the birth of a child to a Roman consul. The perceiver, however, Statius, heard these inspired words and entered a place of transcendence beyond the real situation. These words point to Dante's understanding that poetry is the language of the transcendent. Poetry has the power to predict future events and can open one to the divine expression. I'm remembering my first experience with poetry. I felt elated, stunned. My mind opened and filled with possibility. The power of poetry and love of music leads us into the divine presence. So we return again to the violent digestion of Abhinavagupta, to the fire in the heart, the ability to metabolize experience and return to that light of lights within the heart. Had Ugolino dissolved his hatred for Ruggiero, his story might have been quite different. He might have invoked the archetypal field and felt the protection at the moment of his death. Instead, he chose to cultivate his hatred for his enemy, and in doing so ignored his children. And in Purgatory, we are stunned by the continuous need for purification rituals instead of experiencing the awareness of love in the present moment. We are also inspired by Stadius and his openness to receiving all that is available to him. In our journey inward, we are often confronted by the love of pleasure, by pride, by perfectionism, by greed, by anger, avarice, and many more. Many of us have learned that as we hold the field of awareness, these ego states begin to dissolve. We begin to become more aware of our reactions as reactions, and we begin to dwell in the natural state of awareness, that place of equanimity. We begin to reside in that love of ourselves and the other, which is completely natural and completely inspiring. So in the experience of love, we begin to discover the truth that without divinity, there can be no conscious humanity. And without humanity, the divine remains an abstraction. Once a woman asked Baba Muktananda a question. "I can't meditate," she said. "What should I do? I don't even believe in God." And Baba responded with a question. "Who do you love?" And the woman said, "Why, I love my son." And Baba replied, "Then meditate on your son, where there is love. Meditate on the love for your son. Where there is love, that's where God is." So let yourself see a face of love in your mind's eye. And extend your love to that person. In the beginning, you'll see that face, and then gradually, you'll begin to experience that place beyond. As we hold the field together. So, as we've been cultivating awareness for some time, we'll focus on family and friends that might be having some difficulty. So, hold them in the light and extend the light to them. And we'll extend that light throughout the day and extend it throughout the world as we go through our day. So we'll play that chant one more time, the soul of Spain.